Puggies, and welcome to the Livin the Pug Life show, brought to you by Pug Parties, because your pug deserves to be the best dressed pug at the party. I am your host, Donna, and tonight my co-host is Rosie, who's all dressed up ready for Pugster, even though it's still a couple of weeks away. So tonight we have a awesome pre-recorded show with Choppa, Shamus, Leroy, Lilly, Samson and Peppa, the wonderful Puggie Grumble, who call our friend Donna from PugsSOS their Pug-mom. Now, when we discovered that Donna had a 6 Puggie Grumble all to herself, we just had to get her back to talk about them all. Some are foster fails, some are little characters, and some are just beautiful souls. And they're all just pugging adorable. So we know that you're going to enjoy tonight's show, and I'm going to love rewatching it with you all over again, as we get to know what is now our largest grumble that we've had on the show so far, which is just so exciting. So everyone, I can see that you're all starting to drop in, which is wonderful. It is lovely to see you all. Please join me in saying hello to our friends from WA, the Grumble of 6. My show, and more importantly, welcome to your count them 6 pugs. So the most pugs we've ever had on the show, and hopefully I get them all right. We have Choppa, Shamus, Leroy, Lilly or Tripod, Samson and Peppa.
Absolutely. Hello, Donna.
Hello, thank you so much. It's so wonderful. I get my namesake, so I'll never forget your name either.
No, never.
It's so rare to talk to another Donna, so I have to enjoy it while I've got it.
Thank you for having us all. And I'll show them all to you.
Yes.
So there is Samson, and here is Choppa, and Shamus is sitting on the floor.
Well, look at those ears. He's pricked up. He knows we're talking about him.
Absolutely. And there is Peppa, and then you've got Leroy and little Miss Tripod Lilly.
Oh, lovely. Just absolutely lovely. So probably just because, we'll mix it up. Let's talk about Lilly first. So Tripod, because...
3 legs.
Three legs.
Lilly was a rescue. Mm-hmm. She came in with Leroy as a bonded pair. And when she came in, she had an extremely... I have no idea. Sorry.
That's all right.
She had an extremely damaged leg that was still attached, and it had an unsuccessful brake repair. So when she came into foster, they weren't in very good condition, but they needed some medical attention. So it was decided that we would amputate her leg. And then they did take a long time to repair, skin-wise, health-wise, all sorts of things. She had reoccurring skin issues, all sorts of things like that. So her and Leroy have remained in long-term foster with us. And Leroy, he's a lovely dog, but his hind legs are very weak. Mm. So he's got spinal issues. So they have remained in long-term foster. They've had issues along the way. Leroy's had a couple of bouts of bladder stones.
Oh, puppy.
And it's just the skin issues and the recurring ear infections that need constant weekly attention. Yeah. So that's
and we probably should mention that you are the president of PugsSOS. Did I get that right?
No, absolutely not. I'm the West Australian manager for PugsSOS.
Should get it right. No, Belinda is the president.
Belinda's our boss.
Yes. Yeah. It's terrible. Belinda will tan my hide when she hears me saying that. Yeah, so you're also based in WA. So, yeah, but PugsSOS is national. That should make sure that our listeners do realise that. So Leroy and Lilly, not technically foster fails, but...
Well, yes, I they're foster fails. See, Lily's also blind. So, so it's very difficult for her. So, she knows her way around. She's mapped her way around the house really well. She loves to go on her walks in her pram. Leroy walks next to her for about 1 kilometre. We take her so far to a special spot. She gets out. She has a little wee and a sniff. walks up and down the street for about 50 metres, and then looks at you and gets back in her pram and just sits like Jackie, and we come home.
Yes, happy as Larry.
Absolutely.
We need to get her a tiara.
I think so. But she's a very bossy little girl, and at dinner time she will scream at you and she will shout, and she is known to cause the occasional fight.
Oh,
and she's got very sharp teeth, and she can be, and she gets called the 5-letter B word quite often. At dinner time. She's
so does she start the fights and then sort of sneak off and just watch the safe distance?
And if you leave it if we make the mistake of wanting to feed them after us, she gets so excited that by the time it's her dinner time, she's in a rage mood. So we've learned to feed them first.
Oh no.
Yeah. And Leroy just sits there and he just looks at what's all the fuss, and he just patiently waits. He's a good old man.
Oh, it's lovely that they're together though.
Yeah, I couldn't have separated those two. They were just they just needed too much. Yeah.
Oh, so that's Leroy and Lilly. So then let's talk about Shamus, because you mentioned something, I think it was last week, and you did actually say that he's also the A word. And I know that when this goes to air, because we're pre-recording, that there will be a number of other pug parents that will be nodding their heads in agreement as they look at their own pugs. But Shamus was doing something, I think it was last week, and I'd never heard it before. Started with S, and the
Sniffer School.
Sniffer School. That was like, what's that?
Well, we've got a really lovely foster carer with us, Jen, and Jen and I see each other a lot, and our pugs play a lot, and we're always trying to do different things with our pugs. So she put her little Emily into Sniffer School, and she was showing me all the videos and telling me about it. And because Shamus has done obedience and he's done rallyo and agility, I thought, well, okay, it's time for him to do something else.
He's very accomplished.
He's good, but it's difficult for him because he's so obedience trained that to get him to forget about that and run off and sniff things and completely step out of that known comfort zone, it's taking him a while to work out, well, I can go off and find it myself.
Yeah.
And he's catching up on that now. But if I throw biscuits on the floor for him outside for a treasure hunt, he can find those quick as ever. So I don't know why he's having trouble finding the Vegemite. And he's just sat bolt upright. I'll see if you can see him. He's just sat bolt upright.
Oh, yes.
Because I said the word treasure hunt.
Oh, even the little head, he definitely knows that.
Treasure hunt? What do you think? Maybe later on.
Oh, that sounds so yummy. Sounds so yummy. So what does Sniffers, because I've never heard of it before, so what does Sniffer School do for dogs, not just pups?
Well, it's just getting them to use their senses, and it's Vegemite in a box, and they're trained to find the Vegemite in one box, and then they introduce more boxes, and he has to discern which box has the Vegemite in it.
Oh, wow.
And that's what they do. Jen's dogs have progressed. Jen's little M has progressed up the levels, and she's now, I think she's sniffing essential oils. So there's lots of different levels they do. Yeah. So it just gets their mind going, and it gets their senses going, and it's just something for them.
That is just incredible. I mean, that's like next level engagement toy.
It is, yeah. Definitely
next level. I can't even get Charles to lick his own portrait. So we had
peanut paste on it.
Peanut paste. No, turn my nose up at it. Get out some lactose-free yogurt. No, don't want that. And so all the other puggies at his own porty at the start of the year are all doing their own portraits, and Charles is just sitting there going, no. Not interested. So I've still got his kit here because I'm waiting until Tonka goes to give it another go and see, because obviously Tonka will want to. Tonka was at the party and has his own portrait. So I've got to give Charles some time alone to be able to do it himself.
Yeah,
Rosie did hers quite. But it was just amazing. I was amazed. All the other pugs at the porty were just sort of like, this is awesome. And they great colours. Charles, no. It's my birthday party. I'm going to do what I want.
Well, there's that song, isn't it? My birthday party, I can do as I please. Yeah, so he did.
Absolutely. Yeah, he was more interested in the cake, which I have to admit did look really yummy, even though it was a dog cake. I have yet to actually eat dog cake.
That's all right. It was probably fit for you to eat. Too. You never know.
Not sure. So Choppa, how did Choppa get his name? That was definitely.
I have no idea.
Oh, so
absolutely no idea. He was a rescue as well, and he came in with his female counterpart, and they did separate, and she went her own way, and Choppa stayed with us. He was supposed to go to another family. They were waiting for him, but that family's dog didn't cross Rainbow Bridge as quickly as they expected because he was very old and very ill. And by the time he did go, I'd had Choppa over 12 months, so I wasn't going to part with him. But his female counterpart that came in with him, she passed away. And he's still here, and he is going to be 12 this year.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, so but I have no idea how he got his name.
Does he live up to the reputation?
Well, put it this way, he's as deaf as a post. If I go out of his sight,
no, he is.
If I go out of his sight, he just has this monotonous roof, 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 roof. And he won't stop. He drives my husband mad when he does it. He has to follow me absolutely everywhere. And if I sit on the couch, he has to be touching me. But he's basically a very, very calm, loving old boy. And he's just happy to be lazy.
He looks like a cuddle pug.
He is a cuddle pug, but he does love the beach. If you take him to the beach, we don't often, but he loves water. And if I'm bathing the other dogs, he likes to try to get in the bath. And it's a fight to hold him back because it's not his turn, you know. And with 6 pugs, I can't do them all in one day. They get done 2 one week, 2 the next week, 2 another week. Then I have a break for a month, and then they get done. Because by that stage, my back's broken from bending over the bathtub.
I was going to say that, and the trauma. I gave up years ago. They go to the groomers, and then I cry when my groomers close over Christmas. I'm like, no, you don't understand. They hate it. They're absolute angels for the groomers.
But not for us. But all mine, they get out of the bath. Shamus especially, he gets out of the bath and he has a towel rub. He goes absolutely nuts when that happens. Same as he swims in the pool. And he's a very good swimmer, and he gets out of there and he goes nuts when he gets rubbed with the towel, you know. But isn't that a pug thing? Don't they all love that? They sort of turn inside out and they go upside down, and you know, they love it, don't they?
Charles, he doesn't like the rest of his body, just his face. I don't know why. And I don't know if it's because obviously he'd had the cleft palate and then it's been fixed, or if it's because, like, Leroy doesn't quite have the feeling in his back legs anymore, so it feels weird. But yes, when we do. But as I said, at the groomers, he lives in the drying cage. He's actually known as the dog that owns the drying cage. Other dogs are allowed to go in. They're just not. And he just apparently, like, they've got sent me photos. Squishes himself up in the back corner, and he lies in there all day, rain, hail, or shine.
So in the drying cage, is that a hairdryer they dry them with? Or
there's an industrial, so they don't like, he doesn't like the blower anymore, which is basically like a big industrial hairdryer. But they've got a cage where they sort of, once they've rubbed them down, they pop them in the cage, and that starts to dry the outside, so that then when they get them in to do the plopper bow dry to get in the undercoat to then shed them. But that does that first layer of drying. He won't have the blow dryer. He's got to go on this little, it's like a little puggy sauna, and it blows hot air through through this little cage. And it's so funny. He won't go near other dogs normally, but they'll send me photos, and he'll be in this cage with dogs 3 times his size. He doesn't care as long as he's in the drying cage. And like they keep saying to me, have you got one for him at home? I'm like, no, I'd never see him.
there, yeah, cooking himself.
Yes, I know. It'd be just like he'd come up, like I'd get him, I'd have to drag him out to feed him. And I just see, and because he's got a very expressive, grumpy old man face. So it goes from just being generally grumpy to, what are you doing, mum? Or do you mind, mum? Or like when I had to do his urine sample a couple of weeks ago, it was, you've been creepy, mum. Like, I'm sorry, I have to be down there to get some.
I'm touching my bits.
I know. You probably have had to do that for plenty of fosters. To that, I mean,
I use an old Chinese container, and I follow them around, and immediately they go, I've got the Chinese container under them, except for Lilly and Peppa, who squats so far on the ground. I use the lid of the Chinese container then, and that goes under.
I got to the point where I chased him for 2 days until he finally, I think he just gave up and went, oh, for God's sake, if you're going to be down there, hurry up and just do it. So the Chinese container, I just couldn't, it wouldn't work, because same thing, he squats now, he doesn't lift up his leg. And so I'm running around with a little container, and my partner's laughing at me through the back door, and I'm like, you will pay for this. So I'm like, this should be a boy thing, not a mum puppy thing.
No, it's creepy.
Right, so who are we? So we've talked about Choppa, Shamus, Leroy, Lilly. Who we got next? Peppa.
You've got Peppa. Okay, so I've had 6 pugs prior to Peppa, and then Peppa was our first SOS, and we were just parents. I wasn't involved with the organisation. She came in at 6.5. She wasn't very well treated.
Oh.
She came in extremely vicious, very vicious, and she would bite her. If you touched her, she would attack us. She would attack one of her other dogs. She had really, really, really bad. She was always on very high alert. So we worked with some behaviouralists and some dog trainers, and we worked with vets, and over a 2-year period, we got her to the point where we could control her. We knew her triggers. We knew what to do. It also turned out that she enjoyed having the coffee froth on top of my husband's cuppa, and that would calm her. It was just a bonding thing they had together. So he had more of an influence on her calming nature. And then we were all good for a couple of years. We didn't have any issues. And then someone came to our front door and obviously reminded her of her past. We knew of her past. And when we saw this person, we knew. And we saw the Peppa of old. And for Peppa's sake, and I didn't want to put Peppa in a position where we might have to do something that we didn't want to do because we had been neglectful to her, we actually sought medication for her. So we went on to her medication, and after about 5 weeks, it started to work really well. And Peppa became the dog she should have always been, enjoying love and cuddles, being picked up, responding to, behavioural training, to treats, and enjoying the company of other dogs and knowing that she was safe and she didn't have to defend herself anymore. And so, she's 14 now. The last 6 months, she's just gone into the dementia phase, which is harder for us than her because we have to work out how to work with her. So we keep a lot of things routined, and we try to give her, the same as what she's always loved. She doesn't want to walk anymore. She prefers to go to the bottom of the driveway and sniff the breeze. So that's her thing. That's what we do. And she likes to sleep in till midday.
Oh, no.
Now we get her up.
Are we all?
At that age, she can do it. And she's, so she's the last, 8 years with us. She's lived a proper pug life. And, she's a beautiful dog. She's got a beautiful body. She's nice, tall legs. She's beautiful nature. She loves the grandchildren. And, she was our introduction to all the SOS dogs. And then Shamus came along after her when my previous 6 had died. And then after those 2, we joined the organisation, and the rest is history, you know. So, yeah.
So what drugs did you put her on? Because I've heard of it, but never actually met anyone who's had a pug that has had to almost put them on Ritalin by the sounds of it.
Yeah. Well, so there's lots of different drugs depending on the situation of your dog and I suppose the mental state of your dog. But Peppa went on to Lovan. So that's basically, I think that's Prozac for the humans, I believe. And she went on to the Lovan. And what it took was just the edge of her very high, all the time, high personality. So it took that away from her so she could actually function and work out, you know, is this situation bad for me? Is it not? Can I put it in the hands of my humans and just be a dog? And once we all learned, her and us, learned to trust each other and read each other while those drugs were starting to take effect, you know, it all became easy. But even still, even if the grandkids came over or somebody came over and Peppa was asleep, we'd always say to them, she's sleeping, leave her alone, don't go near her, because you'll startle her and she'll react.
Yeah.
So, you know, for Peppa, her past history was she would have to engage with another dog to get her food and stuff like that. And she was kept as an outside guard dog. I mean, a pug as a guard dog, that doesn't work for me. So she came with a few emotional scars.
I was going to say,
that was mainly her thing.
Sounds very much like PTSD.
Possibly. I don't know anyone that's had that really, so I don't fully know how it would affect someone, but quite possibly. And she's a different dog. So, you know, when she goes, she's had the happiest life and the safest life because the drugs have allowed her to have that. Yeah.
No, which is just absolutely wonderful. Because, I mean, you would get to the point where you would have to make one of 2 choices. You either dealt with the fact that that was going to be the life that she had with you as it was, or, dare I say, and I'm guessing the vet said it might be worth putting it down.
We never got to that. What actually happened in the very beginning was when it was all happening and we were working with all the behaviouralists and all, we got to the point about 6 months in that she had a full-on fight with one of our other little puggies. I came home one day and I had blood all over the place.
Oh, no, that would have been horrendous.
We patched up the scars and I think I reduced to tears and I said to my husband, we can't do this. We're going to have to hand her back to PugsSOS. And he said to me, absolutely not. He said, we're going to work this out. She deserves a better life and it'll be okay. He said, you're just in shock from what you've seen. And that was it. And that was the turning point. There was no way I was sending her back, but we had to work it out. So we learned triggers from both the dogs, and she was deflecting her anxiety onto this other little dog. And this other dog was always copying it, you know?
Yeah.
But we learnt the triggers, and we learnt that there were times when people would come in the house, we'd tell people, okay, this is how you've got to come in the house, this is who you've got to greet first, and all those sorts of little things we learnt, you know, treats. Our behaviouralist was brilliant, and it was just simple things that we did to distract her or to give her treats for good behaviour, or it was just teaching us how to look after her. And it worked. But then when this happened a couple of years later, out of the blue, I just said to Chris, that behaviour is still there. We have to do something about it.
Yes.
Because I did not want to put her down if something had happened. And it was things like putting perspex on our front gate so that people couldn't put their hands through to pat her because she would bite.
Yeah.
She was to bite them, you know, and teaching people, you know, don't touch her at this time, and always her drugs at the right time and fed at the right time and training and all that sort of thing, you know. So, yeah, it was tough for a while.
I can imagine.
No,
such perseverance. Thank God it worked out. That's the most important thing.
I'm glad it worked out as well because she's a gorgeous girl. She really is.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, she's beautiful photos of her. Absolutely beautiful photos. Well, I was going through them, so when everyone sees this, they'll obviously see the opening video, which will be the shortened selection of what you've sent me. So you've given me the very tough task of figuring out which ones.
Yeah, absolutely. You can do it.
It's so tough. It really is. Like, I mean, every time I send the email saying, I just need 12.
Well, I've got 6, so
I
you normally want 12 of one. So I
1,200.
really lots and
I have to
lots.
admit, the opening video should be more than 70 seconds, actually. Maybe I'll have to do a closing one too. Maybe that'll sort of spread it out a little bit more. I hadn't thought of that.
You never know.
Or I'll do an intermission. Back with our regular.
Something like that. Yeah. Have a look at these.
And so lucky last, Samson.
Oh, Samson. Poor old Samson. Samson came in as a rescue as well. He came from a situation where he had been confined either in a very small pen or a cage for about 15 months of his life.
Oh, God.
When he came into us, his back legs weren't very strong at all, so he was having a lot of trouble with them. And when he walked, we call him paddle pop, because when he walks, the neurological damage he's got is so great that he drags his feet and he just slaps them down like that. So he's got these scars on the top of his leg, on the top of his paws. And he gets so excited if somebody comes through the front door or the doorbell goes or at dinner time that he poos himself. So every day we're picking up Samson's poo because he's got so excited and can't control his bowel. But he's a lovely little dog in the sense that any foster that comes in here, he runs up to them and he seems to take them on and he hangs around them and he plays with them and he'll sit with them and he'll sleep with them. And it's if he's telling them, you're safe now. I've been through it. You're okay. But he makes my heart.
I know. I'm thinking, I'm glad I'm not talking.
Yeah, but he's a really lovely little dog. But yeah, he gets called some names too. Especially when he's pooed and stepped in it. And we've got to clean it up before we can feed the other dogs. And I think you'll hear me, Chris, and I say, oh, for shit's sake, Samson. That's literal. It's happened, But he's a lovely little thing, but he's reactive to the doorbells. So the doorbell's turned down.
Yeah.
So if people come here, they've either got their own set of keys and they let themselves in, or they text me to say, we're here. And, I quietly get up to go to the front door, but he's so astute. He knows something in my walk. And there he is. He's barking at the gate. And then comes the poo. And I say, I'll pick it up. And then we all come in and it's all good. It's all good. Everybody knows. Everybody understands. And
he's on to you. That's the...
But he's a lovely little boy and everybody loves him. And he'll be 4 this year. But he's got a few issues with his gut. So he's got a little bit of, we think it's irritable bowel syndrome now. So we're going through the motions of sorting that out.
Rosie had acid reflux, which I never thought.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about this.
And you can imagine we sort of, she was my first girl too. So prior to Rosie, my first pug fat dog, or Lewis, he was abused and neglected, but luckily most of his problems were easily fixable. And then we got Winston and Charles. And then when we lost Winston, Charles was just so destitute without his brother that Rosie, the universe gave us Rosie at just the right time. And then her previous family had said to us, she has panic attacks. So the first couple of times it happened where she puked up through her nose, Andrew and I were like, that must be the panic attack they're talking about. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, I've never seen a pug panic quite like that. It just, and then after the third one, I just went, no, this is not right. And so 6 months and she had to have a nose job anyway, which did help a little bit. But then basically the vet said, before we talk about doing surgery or any other exploratory stuff, let's change her diet and see what that does. She wasn't our pugs are on the bath diet, but we used to give them all different bricks and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So they had a nice mix. And so we went down to just one variety, and then you wouldn't believe it, pretty much gone.
And I'm the same here, even with the Fosters. My big thing is diet. And I did do my vet nursing a few years ago, and I was very interested in diet. And we put all the Fosters on the same diet as our own dogs, all my foster carers. And they all have a very good quality dog knob and a very good quality biscuit that is gluten-free and grain-free. I never feed beef, chicken or lamb because they're your triggers. They're your allergy triggers. They get home-cooked veggies every night. Oh, nice. And then twice a week they'll get tuna on top of their dinner or sardines. And sometimes they'll get yogurt in the morning. But diet is a big thing. If you've got a healthy dog through good diet, you've got very few problems, and you've got very few vet bills, yes. and we're only getting them now because our dogs are getting older and the system is breaking down, so things are having to change. But diet is a big thing to keep your animals healthy, any animal, and especially a pug.
No, I completely agree with you on that one, especially when they've had a really rough start to
and you change around really quickly, because we see that within 3 weeks we can see skin change, we can see personality change, the brightness in their eyes will change, they don't smell as much, they don't scratch as much, and their personality's different, and they've got a nice comfortable tummy, and it's all good. It's all good with a good diet. It really is.
No, I have to admit, I never did tin dog food, purely out of selfishness, because
no. It doesn't. We go for a diet that's got all the holistic nutrients in it, that the dogs need. And the bath diet, I believe, is the same. Yeah. And I don't feed that. I feed more of a cooked bath. But yeah, it is. You've got all the good food, good nutrients in it. Your dogs are healthy, and your teeth, and you keep your dog's teeth happy.
Oh yeah,
all good. Yes,
that and the dental bills. Otherwise, oh my God.
Oh yes, and and they get sick very quick because they get an infection. Then it races through the body, and then you've got a lot of mess to clean up. You really have. It takes time. Yeah.
So, in whatever order, what is the naughty trait of all 6?
Well, Lily's naughty trait is her bossiness at dinner time. I would say Choppa's naughty trait is the constant monotonous barking because I'm out of it. Peppa's naughty trait, her naughty trait now, I don't really think she has one anymore, other than that it takes all day to get to the bed to make it. and you've got to roll the fur off it, because her fawn fur's all over sheets that really shouldn't be on.
No.
I would say Samson's naughty trait is his reactivity to the doorbell and his accidental filtering, which Leroy does do as well. Leroy doesn't have a naughty trait. He just sits and looks at you. He's a really good old boy. And Shamus, well, Shamus is a black pug, and I find of the black pugs that I've had, I find him to be arrogant, opinionated, very regal, and he's just a funny character. He makes you laugh. He really, really does, Yeah.
Oh, yes, no. My Winston, my black, my first one, fat dog, he was very zen. So probably a little bit like Peppa in that once he realised he was in a new home and this was permanent and this was really as good as it got, he got very zen. He did catch a cane toad once when I was living in Cairns, which nearly killed me. Once I'd finished dealing with that, I then rang my father and said, you and I need to have words, because my dad had been up a couple of weeks beforehand, and my dad used to train hunting dogs. So I know exactly where Fat Dog got the idea that cane toads were worth chasing. Sometimes it's the influence of the grandparents that's worse than the actual pugs.
Absolutely.
And then Winston was stubborn and cunning. He used to con his brother into, we used to have a small pedestal bin in the kitchen. I said to my partner, it's pug height. All bad news. All bad news.
Oh yeah, that's Choppa.
No, it'll be fine. He'll just, because of course, and we caught him a couple of times trying to get his head in the bin, because of course he'd put his paws on the pedestal, try and put his head in, and then of course go to jump in, and then the pedestal thing would smack him on the head. And I'm like, Andrew, he's going to get to the point where he's going to put two and two together, that this is a team effort. And lo and behold, it took another couple of months, but I come home and there's poor Charles being conned. He's got his paws on the pedestal and Winston's he's into it. And I'm like, that dog will eat anything. He's eating compost. That dog had 9 lives before he finally passed away. So, like, yeah, there is something about black dogs.
Absolutely. Definitely. Hang on for a minute. Definitely. Definitely there's something about black dogs.
It's in the eyes. It is in the eyes. It's like, I know.
They are. They're shockers. Absolute shockers. Aren't you? Hey?
But he is beautiful. I do have a soft spot for black pugs.
I think it's their eyes that give them the expression. Unlike the fawns, it's all the wrinkles and the colours that give them the expression. For these guys, I think it's the eyes and the body's movements and the things they do, And
the snorting.
They are.
Winston would snort when he was unimpressed.
Snorty, yeah. Yes. But he won't look at me. When I sit with him like this, it's like, how dare you?
Yes.
I'm not on display for you. And it's just, no, I'm not going to.
This is your show, Shamus.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care. And little Lily's sitting here. Come here, gorgeous girl. So here she is.
Oh, you
so this is little Lily Pilly. So, yeah.
Just a little beauty.
She is. She's only tiny. She's only 6 kilos. So she's only a tiny little thing.
And she does so well, like sort of looking at her in one of the photos, her standing on her 3 legs. She's got really good balance.
She's very good, and she can play rough and tumble with the toys, and she will occasionally chase the other dogs. But when you see her speed from this couch to the kitchen for dinner, she's quicker than all the others.
Yeah.
And we had a very lovely, generous pug owner here donate a ramp to us for use for all the fosters and mainly for Lily and Leroy. And, she's learned how to use the ramp really well. And so Leroy, mothers won't use it, but she does. And that was a very generous thing because it really enabled her to be more independent. She can get up and down off the couch when she wants to.
Oh, yes. We got one for Charles. Oh, hello, handsome.
That's Samson.
Hey, Samson.
So he's come up, I think, wanting a cuddle.
Well, if you're doling them out, Mum.
He sits on top of Choppa and half on, here he comes, and half on top of me. Come on then. Over you come.
Oh.
Come on.
So what's their favourite adventure or activity? Do they all have the same thing, or they all, because obviously you said love the water.
We've learnt to treat them all differently now. For a while there, they were all the same. So we could take them out all together and go visiting. I'd go visiting to Jen, my foster carer. She's got 4 of her own, so you'd have 10 dogs there and they're all having some fun. But
that's your own play group.
It is, really? Or she'd bring hers here and the same thing would happen. But Shamus loves to go out. He loves to go visiting and he loves to work. So, anything, we've done obedience school 3 times just because he thought it was, fun. Or twice, sorry. He thought it was fun. Then we did rally-o and all. So his thing is visiting, being social, and just enjoying the world. Samson, he gets very out of sorts in crowds now. So he tends, and if I take him out, he has to go with Choppa because he feels you can see him. His tail's down. He's unsure. That's not his thing. So, if he's with Chopper and I take them out, he's okay. But I don't take them to cafes or anything like that because they're not of that capability, just medical reasons and all that and physical reasons. We just go visiting to other pugs. Lilly and Leroy, they love to go, their favourite thing is their walk and the pram ride. And Chopper, well, if we go down the road here to Slate Cafe where they have pug meetups, his favourite thing is stealthily running away, and he gets into the kitchen. And you see the owners of Slate Cafe picking him up and bringing him back out because the little bugger's in the kitchen. Because any scent of food, and him with the rubbish bin, oh my God, no, that's why it's closed in the pantry. So, yeah, he loves the stealthiness of finding food and stealing food. And if we're sitting even at the meals table with a plate and it's too close to the edge and we're not watching, he might be on the couch, a split second he's up there, stood up with his paw, smashed it down on the ground, and he's run away with your piece of toast or your piece of cake. He's a shocker for that. Peppa, she likes to just sit now and smell the breeze. She did like to socialise and go out, but that's disappeared for her now. And, and I think Shamus's favourite thing of all is when the grandkids come, because he sleeps with them and he doesn't leave their nice. They go home, and that's his favourite thing. And, yeah, they're all different now because of their age, their abilities, They're all just different. Yeah.
No, that's lovely. I'm amazed with the cafe that they allow. It actually reminds me, one of the other, we've got a jug at Playgroup Max, and he's a little bit old now, but when I first met him, he was Houdini. If you didn't watch where he was, he would be in the next field playing with like the kids who are kicking around a football or the cricket match. And he'd just happily be in the middle of the field and his tail's going like this. He's got a massive grin on his face. And we're all going, has anyone seen Max? We're like, just find the children with the balls. And so, yes, needless to say.
Find food. But Slate Cafe is a cafe where every Saturday they have specific breed dog meats.
Oh, nice.
So, there's all sorts of dog breeds go down there, and we'll have the pugs one, and all pug owners and whatever, they come from far and wide. They just love it because we all catch up. We all know each other. A lot of them have SOS dogs, or a lot of them have the offspring of a previous dog that I had that, I rehomed from a breeder. And it's how we all get to, just talk, and the dogs play, and they all recognise each other, and they have a wonderful time.
Oh,
they really do.
Just awesome. So one of my favourite questions I ask all of our guests, or the humans of our stars, I should say, is do they have a favourite costume or a favourite outfit that they like to wear out?
Peppa used to have a lovely purple dress.
Oh, nice.
She hasn't worn it for a long time. I would love to put Lilly in a tutu. I have not yet done that. Leroy, I think, would look nice with a tie. Choppa he had a little cap that he could sometimes wear. Shamus used to wear a cap, but I haven't dressed them up for ages. I must admit, I haven't done it. Christmas time I do.
Yeah.
And we tackle the Christmas card.
Yeah.
And
You're braver than me. You're braver than me.
I can get it down pat sometimes, but sometimes not so. They all have a birthday hat they put on for their birthdays, and all of that. But I don't dress them up as much as I used to,
Well, in your senior years, you should be down to cravat and dressing gown.
Well, Peppa's pretty much that. Pretty much that, But I'm sure that if the time comes when some of them need nappies, I've got a foster carer that gets some absolutely awesome nappies.
Oh,
so
wow.
I'll go to her and I'll get them all some designer nappies, and they can wear those.
I'll have to get that after the show, because Charles, we've had a couple of little accidents earlier this year because he got diarrhea, and the nappies that I got, which technically should fit, didn't look very comfortable.
No, these are made especially for puggies.
Ooh.
So after the show, I'll let you know.
Absolutely. And I promise everyone who is watching that I will share the information. Absolutely. It sounds like definitely, because I think part of the even my partner said, are you sure these are pug sized? And I'm like, I got them from the pet store. They were the size like of his bum. What I do, but yeah, it just didn't look right.
No, these ones are absolutely gorgeous. So I'll let you know afterwards, because I'd have to look on my phone to find what they are.
Well, thank you so much, Donna. And I'll get this Choppa, Shamus, Leroy, Lilly, Samson and Peppa.
Yes.
Just make sure I get it all right. It was so wonderful to talk to you and to meet all 6. That's now my record of the number of puggies I have on the show in one household. It's a bit crazy. I don't know how you do it. Like as we were saying before we come on the show, I've still got Tonka with us at the moment. And I'm almost certain that Rosie and Charles are just sort of like, you're not going to bring more in, are you?
Well, it's funny, you know, when a foster comes in, they're all over them and they have a good sniff, and then Shamus will take himself off and he'll look at me and he'll go, okay, so cuddles are limited now until the foster goes, you know. But they're all good. They're all good, yeah. But it is a madhouse. They have. But it's a madhouse. It really is. But, you know, that's it. That's how it is.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. And kisses and hugs and snuffles to all the puppies.
Thank you. And thank you for having us on. No. Lovely to talk to you.
Awesome talking, Pug. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Absolutely. Not a problem.
Bye. Bye, puppies.
Hey.
Screen. Hello, welcome back. Oh, look, and Rosie decided to wake up too. That was actually rather fortuitous, wasn't it? What a wonderful show. I absolutely loved watching the show with you again, because obviously it was pre-recorded a few weeks ago, getting to know Choppa, Shamus, Leroy, Lilly, Samson and Peppa. What an amazing grumble. And to be honest, I can see by all of your comments that everyone's going to agree with me when I say that they are very lucky puggies to have Donna and her husband Chris as their parents. Just absolutely wonderful. Now, please, guys, don't forget to say hello to Donna and Chris, as well as Choppa, Shamus, Leroy, Lilly, Samson and Peppa, because I'm sure that they would love to say hello to you and hear what you loved the most about the show. Also, if you would like to be the superstar of your very own show, we'd love to have you as a guest. And all it takes is an email or a direct message telling us that you want to be a star, and we'll do the rest. Donna can attest, because she's now done it twice. It is really easy. Basically, I do all the work because apparently, according to Charles and Rosie, that's my job. Also, don't forget, with Pugster coming up in 2 weeks' time, Pug Parties has currently got a Pugster competition going for the best Pugs Buddy impression. And the great thing is you don't have to dress up to enter. Pretty much it is, you can either dress up like Rosie is, and I'll just pick her up because she's being a little lazy bum. So Rosie is in her Pugs Buddy hoodie tonight, looking very grumpy because I just woke her up. Hey, you right, puppy? Or you can send us a video of your little twitchy nose, or even your Pugs Bunny bounce as you run down the road. Everything counts. We've had some great entries so far, and we would love to have your entry too. All you need to do is post it onto our Facebook page or our Instagram page, and you can either send via email or a direct message. All entries are accepted. So please don't miss out. The winner will be announced on Easter Sunday, and the winner will win a $50 Pug Parties gift card to spend on whatever they like, which I think is pretty awesome. Don't you think, Rosie? She's not too happy about a hood. So, Puggies, until next time, have a pawsome week, and humans, be generous with the snackies. Hey, puppy?